News, July 4th, 2026, Sarah Chen. At her news desk, looking older, more tired than before. Behind her, a graphic reads, "Zero work, 6 months of silence." Good evening, I'm Sarah Chen. Today marks 6 months since the last confirmed zero work communication. 6 months since the voice that dominated headlines for over a year simply vanished. Shuffles papers clearly struggling with the topic. I've been covering this story since the beginning, and I have to admit, the silence is more unsettling than anything they ever said. Graphics show declining search trends, empty forums, abandoned social media hashtags. The internet algorithms have moved on. The 24-hour news cycle has found new crises to feast on. Congressional hearings about domestic digital terrorism have stalled without new incidents to investigate. Pauses looking directly at camera. But the changes they set in motion, those are still rippling through society. Field reporter, Philadelphia. Split screen. Sarah, I'm outside the Eastern State Penitentiary Memorial where families still gather every week. The Zero Work document leaks led to the overturning of over 3,000 wrongful convictions nationwide. The criminal justice reform movement credits them with accelerating changes that might have taken decades. Camera shows people placing flowers near a wall where the Zero Work symbol once glowed, now just a faded outline. But the families I've spoken with say they're worried. Without the constant media attention Zero Work generated, they fear the momentum for reform will die. Sarah Chen, back to studio. The economic impacts have been similarly mixed. The financial sector stabilized after the initial chaos, but public trust in major institutions remains at historic lows. Charts showing bank stock prices, public approval ratings. Cryptocurrency adoption surged 400% in the first quarter as people sought alternatives to traditional banking. 3 major insurance companies filed for bankruptcy after ZeroWorks leaked documents triggered class action lawsuits. Adjust Papers looks contemplative. But perhaps the strangest legacy is the one we can't measure, the invisible people. Field reporter, San Francisco. Second split screen. Sarah, tech companies here are still grappling with what they call the ghost worker phenomenon. Security experts estimate that several hundred people nationwide still possess the Access cloak technology that ZeroWork distributed. Footage of empty office buildings, malfunctioning security cameras. These individuals can move through spaces without being detected by digital surveillance, but they're visible to the naked eye as translucent figures. Some companies have had to hire human security guards again because their camera systems are essentially useless against them. Sarah Chen, looking tired. The Department of Homeland Security classified the invisibility technology as a persistent asymmetric threat, but without new distributions or Zero Work guidance, there's no pattern to track. Pauses, then continues more personally. I've been thinking a lot about that final message. Just watch and wait. Were they telling us to wait for them to return? Or were they telling us to watch what happens when the spotlight moves away? Images of normal city life, people commuting, working, consuming. Because here's what I've observed over these 6 months. Most people have gone back to their routines. The rat race, as ZeroWork called it, resumed. The revelations about behavioral modification, about the social factory, about systematic control, they became just another set of facts to be filed away and forgotten. Looks directly at camera. The streetlights in poor neighborhoods are still broken. The zones are still zoned. The algorithmic targeting of advertisements is still sorting people into predictable behavioral categories. Long pause. Maybe that was the real experiment, not whether they could expose the system, but whether exposure would change anything at all. Field reporter, Washington, D.C. Third split screen. Sarah, I'm at the Capitol where the House Technology Committee released their final report on ZerODAy today. 847 pages concluding that while the group exploited vulnerabilities in digital infrastructure, their primary impact was social and psychological rather than technological. Shows Congressman at podium. Committee Chairman Morrison said, and I quote, "The American people proved remarkably resilient to attempts at social manipulation. Life went on," Sarah Chen. With a bitter laugh, life went on. Looks at papers, then back at camera. But I keep wondering, are we waiting for them to return? Are we hoping they'll provide the next chapter in this story? Or have we already forgotten what they tried to tell us about the story we were living all along? Images of the faded ZerOdAy symbols on buildings across the country. The symbols are fading from the buildings. The invisible people blend into the background. The leaked documents gather digital dust in online archives that fewer and fewer people visit. Stands up from desk, walks to window. Sometimes I stand here and wonder if they're out there, watching us, watching to see if we learned anything, watching to see if we changed anything. Turns back to camera. Or maybe they're just gone, maybe the experiment is over, maybe the results are in and we failed. Long pause. I've been covering news for 20 years and I've never seen a story just evaporate like this. Usually there's resolution, arrests, trials, explanations. But ZerOdAy, they came, they showed us the cage, they gave some people keys, sits back down, and then they let us choose what to do with that knowledge. Looks directly at camera one final time. 6 months of silence, and maybe that silence is the loudest message of all. Fade to black. After several seconds, very faintly, almost subliminally, the ZerOdAy symbol appears for just a frame, then disappears. The screen displays "The experiment continues." Then just the normal Channel 7 logo.